This episode is brought to you by eWin Racing, makers of comfy office and gaming chairs, which I am currently glued to because this past weekend was freaking exhausting. I am currently editing this from the comfort of my Flash XL chair, a huge chair designed for huge people, complete with ergonomic back and neck pillows for extra comfort. The chair ships in pieces, but goes together pretty easy. I was able to assemble it over the span of a single episode of Game Grumps, and has a full range of adjustable features. I've been using them for over a year now, and I certainly can't complain. For this holiday season, give the gift of comfort with this special where, if you use my special links and check out with coupon code Kohdok, you can get an ear-bleeding 30% off of your entire order. The Flash XL is normally a $500 chair. Taking off $150 of that is no small feat. You could go out and buy like 3 whole games with that. Or, I don't know, half an Xbox? Be sure to act soon, as these deals will not last. Again, that's coupon code Kohdok to shave off nearly a third of the final price tag. So I just got back from the Pax Unplugged convention in lovely Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, I know some of you are thinking, isn't PAX a video game convention? Well, like with an unplugged music album, Pax Unplugged takes its name from the idea that it is a convention about games, but minus the electricity. PAX Unplugged is the biggest tabletop and card game convention that I have easy access to, and I haven't really been to any convention since the apocalypse happened, so I secured my press badge and made my way in. What followed was a weekend of fun, games, and bringing home way more than I could ever need. I mean, wow, what the heck? What happened? What was I even thinking? There were a lot of people showing off what they had, and by the look of things, a lot of success stories, as many of the sales tables were practically empty by the end of the show on Sunday. A few had such little product left that they probably could have stuffed it into their luggage for the trip home. It certainly feels like the scene has recovered tremendously from the days of darkness and doom, though there was still a mask policy. If there's one thing a good mask policy filters out, it's the sort of people you don't want showing up at your event anyway, and I appreciate that. And I had a great time! I played some neat games, networked with new people, and even pulled a mythic rare card. Out of the garbage! I tried the paint and take booth. My results were nothing special. I then tried a painting seminar. Again, my results were nothing special. So of course I got a bunch of great stuff to show off on the show at a later date, but I figured I'd do a coverage video about the things that were there that I sadly was not able to bring anything home about, particularly a lot of things that are still in pre-release and pre-order. One of the stars of the show was Cephalofair Games, showing off their new Frosthaven game. I showed off their previous game, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, in a different video, but Frosthaven is more like their standard Gloomhaven in that the box is massive. Still, it's a chapter-based game that's sort of like Dungeons & Dragons, but with an automated dungeon master and pre-built story, and that is a lot of people's jams. I sadly did not grab a copy, as I'm not exactly sure where I'd put it, though I did get a reusable map for War of the Lions. It's the legacy aspect of the game that I'm not a terribly big fan of. They were also giving away these neat headbands, which I of course got one of for myself, but by Sunday they were desperate to get rid of them. I let slip that I have relatives with ages in the single digits, and they loaded me up. Also at the event was free Magic Jumpstart. A lot of free Magic Jumpstart. 13 packs of Magic Jumpstart. Now, a few of these came from the official Magic the Gathering booth, where they were giving away Brothers War Jumpstart, a series that was doomed to disaster, with many of the product being available online being sold at cost. Ouch. The other few were actually from St. Jude's Charities, who were testing out an app where you can make a donation to trigger a bonus effect mid-game, such as drawing cards, ramping mana, or forcing your opponent to say abracadabra. This was just an experiment and didn't actually cost anything, but they've already talked about using the system in other games, such as letting Warhammer players get extra command rolls or reserve units. It seems like something more to use for people who live stream their games, perhaps even allowing a system where viewers can donate as well to trigger effects such as via Twitch. Still, they had the good stuff, Jumpstart 2022, and they let me participate multiple times. I plan on making a redraft set out of these packs so I can pull out the Jumpstart magic over and over again. Also making waves was WizKids, who were showing off their new Dungeons & Dragons Onslaught game, along with a limited giveaway of preview packs. I was able to secure one of these packs, thank you press badge, so I'll be showing it off later, but the demo encounter was far more complex than what that preview box contained. I also visited a panel about developing sequels and spin-offs to a game you've created, and how to make an effective follow-up. I recorded the whole thing, but I worry the audio might not be useful, but I will try. Another thing I was looking forward to was the Unpub Room. This is a little group of people who run a Discord about game development, and folks could bring their game prototypes to let people try them out over the course of the weekend. I managed to talk to a few people about game design and publishing, and got to demo a few neat games. It's something to look out for, and apparently they run a solo event in March, so might do something about that. Speaking of, I got to try out a bunch of games where I was shown the ropes by the game's developers themselves, though in the case of a lot of these they were preparing a Kickstarter or a backer kit run, and were taking pre-orders rather than having product. One of them was Hoop Gods, a basketball-themed miniatures game with a unique juice-based action system which involves a lot of risk and reward, where it's possible to horribly overextend yourself and lose a bunch of your juice for the next round, but deciding when and where to make a push and when to take a bit of a leap is what keeps the game interesting. Another game I got to try out was Super Show, a wrestling-themed game where the goal is to manage a pin on your opponent before they can manage to pin you. Dice rolls determine initiative and difficulty, and cards can mix things up. I went against one of the game's developers and won using the silly character Rainbow Girl, proving once again the old adage that you should never hand the joke character over to a Jigglypuff main.
You can't win! It's over!
All hail Rainbow Girl! At the Wise Wizard booth, makers of Star Realms, which they promised me they were fixing the supply issues on, I got to try out the dice-building game Kapow, where you allocate rolls of the dice in secret into attack, defense, and building, and where you get a custom dice that you add sides to throughout the course of the game. I actually got a copy, so I can talk more in detail on it later. Remember Snapships? Those toys I did some reviews on back when this was more of a toy review channel? Well, they're getting a game! It hasn't shipped yet, but a game that turns these ships into a sort of Fleet Fighter miniatures game is in the works, and since I still have my personal collection, I got on the list to try it out once it ships. Or Snapships, I guess, so look forward to that. Gem Blenders was also there. My big criticism of their work in the past was how their cards still looked like playtest copies. They've been doing some work on it, making better use of computer lining and image correction. The simple designs of these characters actually works well with these more aggressive foiling effects, as long as those effects don't integrate a lot of dark shades. Otherwise, I spent the rest of the time just taking in the neat booths that people were making. Thanks again, Philly, for hosting this event, even if I got stuck behind a parade float on the way here, and that same float trapped me downtown long into the evening, but at least I got to eat a nice Philly cheesesteak. It was more steak than cheese, but I'm not about to complain. See you next year, Pax U. Oh, and one more thing. I was handed off a rather interesting little box while at the convention, and it might be the subject of a future video, so look forward to it. Hey, thanks again for watching, and of course, where else would this video be without the help of our fair patrons over at Patreon, particularly Cleeklo, Diamond Dread, and Team Mayorga for buying in at the $10 level or higher. Join the Patreon for as little as $1 per month to get Discord access and more. Until next time, this is Kohdok signing off.